Hey everybody, welcome back. If you're new here, hi, I'm Mercury. So today we are going to be talking about the entertainment that was available on Royal Caribbean's Liberty of the Seas. This is going to be a review of the entertainment that was offered and are just my opinions on my experiences while I was on the ship. There were a lot of different options for entertainment. There are small venue entertainment, there are big venue entertainment, and we're going to talk about a bunch of them. I don't want to say all of them because there were some that I missed out on, but we're going to talk about a bunch of them. I'm going to start out with small venues. There were 3 small venue performers that I saw and I really enjoyed. The first one was at the Schooner Bar, and the performer was Juan the Piano Hitman. That was his name, and it was in quotes. It was in quotes. But he played a lot of hits. He did. He played a lot of hits. So it was like classic piano lounge kind of music. Played some great classic songs. Things like Elton John, Billy Joel, like stuff that really lends itself so well to being played on piano. I only got to see one of his sets, and from what I saw, I really enjoyed it. And it was just like, the vibe at Schooner Bar is very relaxed. It's, one of those venues that's like multi-purpose because they use it for things like napkin folding and trivia, but they also use the piano lounge aspect of it. And it's comfortable. The seating is comfortable. It's a very open space. So even though the tables are sort of next to each other, because of the layout, I never feel like I'm on top of people when I'm at the Schooner Bar, which is really nice. So I enjoyed getting to see that performer at the Schooner Bar. And I will put in a little clip right here. I saw was the High Seas Orchestra Brass Band, and they did something that they were calling the Funky Big Band Music with Orchestra. They played a whole bunch of different types of genres of music, but on brass and orchestra, and it really worked. It was very, very similar. If you saw the other video that I did where I went to the what are they called? When I went to the top tier event and they played at the beginning of that, very, very similar vibe to what was going on there. And same venue. It was at the lounge that was at the front of the ship, the Star Lounge. And that was really, really fun. It was a good change of pace. It was very different than a lot of the other types of music that they were playing on the ship. Third artist that I saw in a small venue was Timmy Pete, and he was playing acoustic guitar over at the Hoof and Claw. Now, the Hoof and Claw is like the pub, right? It's like a classic pub kind of an atmosphere is what they're going for. And he was playing tunes on the acoustic guitar that I highly related to. He was playing, oh my gosh, like Nirvana and Rolling Stones and Oasis, and it was all the music from the 90s that I adore. He was playing on acoustic guitar. So it was really just a fun, enjoyable, nostalgia set. And I enjoyed it so much. I actually went to 3 of his sets. I was having that much fun and that much in my element that I was just like, yeah, this is great. And I kept going back for more. So that was definitely, hands down, my favorite small venue performance. And I will put a quick clip in here. The next show I want to talk about is my review of Showtime in Concert. Now, what this was a performance that was done by the singers and dancers that star in the Broadway style production which on this ship was Saturday Night Fever, and we will get to that soon. But they did another show in which they sang all sorts of different songs. It was like theater songs, Elton John songs. Like, it was like a big hodgepodge, but done, with that musical theater kind of a flair, with the dancers also supporting the singers. And they have this dancing couple. Phenomenal. They are a competitive dancing pair, and oh my gosh, does it show. The speed and precision is amazing, and I will talk a lot more about them coming up soon when I talk about the Broadway style performance. But it took all of their skills, all these different elements of their skill sets, and showcased it in a different format for us to see. What I think is part of the reason for this, and this is just my opinion, my guess, the Broadway style show only played on one night on this ship. It was a 5-day sailing, and only one night. There were 2 showings, depending on what time you had your dinner scheduled. So there was like an early show and a late show, but only one of the nights had that Broadway style production being offered. So as another entertainment offering on a different night, they did offer this as an additional, like, sort of supplemental entertainment.
In concert. Children play in the park. They go home. The blues of your eyes. Don't you know it's
So I just got back to my room after watching the ice skating show called Encore. And I had a lot of fun at this show. Not my all-time favorite, but definitely in, like, I'd say like my top 5, maybe my top 3. This one was a lot of fun. And the reason why is the theme, like the story of the show. Well, I don't want to call it a story. It didn't have like a cohesive story. But the theme of the show was that different venues that do live theater, and they used music from those type of venues and created characters around that style. And that was what the show was about. So it started out with Broadway. You had like Phantom and Evita and just wonderful music to really get us started out. It started with Masquerade, and they all had like masks on sticks, like when they first came out. And then it progressed to the Paris Opera House, as if like Phantom was like listening to it. And they did opera. So they did music from Carmen and then other operas as well. And then it progressed to other types of theaters where music plays. So I was not allowed to record any video during this performance, but I was allowed to take pictures. So I'll throw a few shots in as I'm talking. In addition to the types of venues that I just mentioned, they also did Ginza Theater, I believe is what it was referred to. And they had a beautiful, beautiful costuming for that particular section. They did the Hollywood Bowl. So it was all rock and roll style. They played Rolling Stones, I Can't Get No Satisfaction. They played The Who's Tommy with Pinball Wizard. So they had a lot of like fun rock and roll songs. Then they brought it back to like Janis Joplin, and like, it was just such great music choices that were made. And then to wrap it up, they brought us to Vegas. And, they did like Viva Las Vegas, and they had like an Elvis on skates, and it was just a lot of fun. I think the music choices really made this, but the skill of these skaters, they were awesome. And just that they can do this on a boat. They do this on a boat, y'all. It's fantastic. So hats off to them. They did a great job, and I really enjoyed the ice show on this boat. The next entertainment offering that I saw was an illusionist named Jason Bishop. And this was kind of like a mixed bag. This one is hard for me to review because the way that it was described, it was like an illusionist, a magician, right? Someone who's going to be doing magic as the main piece of their performance. And he did. So I don't want to like kind of jump into this like he didn't do that. But there was also a lot of stand-up comedy interwoven. And you'll notice I never review stand-up comedy. There's a reason for it. It's not my thing. I don't enjoy going to stand-up comedy. I don't enjoy going to see stand-up comedians. It's just not something that I enjoy doing. But magicians don't always do this. A lot of them do, right? But not all of them. And it was not clear from the description of the show that there was going to be so much stand-up comedy intermixed. So because inherently I'm not a fan of stand-up comedy, I'm not even going to review that portion of it because it would be like an unfair, very biased type of a viewpoint. So I'm just going to put that aside, and I'm going to only talk about the magic and the illusions that he was doing. And he did do some pretty cool stuff. So they had this really small box, and it was on a pedestal, right? So it's like she couldn't be in it, right? It's too small. It's where would this person fit? And he puts his hand and there's a shadow, and then like magic, woo, she comes out of the box. Yeah, and so it was really cool to watch. It was like one of those types of tricks where it's like, if you think about it, you could probably figure it out, but there's like a showmanship to it that really sells the trick and makes it work. A bunch of the other things that he was doing were what's called like close-up illusions, like card tricks or like coin tricks. And the way he did that, he had a little table set up with a camera. So that way you could see his hands. You could see it up close because it was being projected on the screen behind him as well as the monitors to the side. So in doing that, he's able to do these close-up type of magic tricks on stage. Like he did this trick where a deck of cards, like the outside of the deck of cards, it was like plain, it didn't have any print on it, and he went like, and then all of a sudden it had color and it was a normal outside deck of cards. And he progressed in the trick and folded the box up, and it was like a flat thing, right? Like there's nowhere for cards to be in this. It's just flat, and it folds into an empty box. And then he goes, and then all of a sudden there's a deck of cards inside of it. Yeah, so it was like really cool that he was able to do like these close-up type of tricks in this large theater venue. And I really liked that aspect of it. So the Broadway style show on the ship was Saturday Night Fever. So there was no photography or videography allowed during the show, so I don't have any footage or any pictures to show you. But I can tell you what I thought and give you a review of the show. So it's based on the movie and the story of Saturday Night Fever, you know, the old 1970s John Travolta, right? So if you know the story, that's it, right? That's it in a nutshell. This is a tough review for me because the story of Saturday Night Fever did not age well. It didn't age well. There's so much toxic masculinity and misogyny in that story, and it's unavoidable if you're going to stay true to it. That's sort of like the root of who the main character Tony is. So, like Saturday Night Fever as a story, I'm not thrilled with. It would not be the choice that I make. So I want to put the story to the side. I'm not focusing on the story of it. I want to focus on the talent of the performers, because the performers are amazing. The vocalists, one of the female vocalists, her voice is so rich, and it's like she has such range, but it's, you know how like some singers, when they hit higher notes or start pushing the edge of their range, it doesn't feel as rich, the voice, like the notes. This vocalist, her notes were solid throughout her range, which was so impressive. And the dancing was amazing. So, like before the show starts on the monitors, they have sort of like the bios of the different performers. And I had noticed that one of the dancers, so she is a champion dancer. right? So she like performs in contests, and she is a world champion dance performer. And when you see her and her dancing partner on stage, it shows the complexity of the dances that they were doing. They were doing a lot of flips, like partner work, where they would like, she would flip up in the air or like be inverted, and he would like spin her around, or there would be like a cartwheel type of maneuver. But with the speed and the precision that they were being done, I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away, because her and her dancing partner, absolutely phenomenal. The skill and talent they have, amazing. The other thing that I want to give a shout out to with Saturday Night Fever is the set design. So they had very dynamic sets. They did use screens for a little bit of it, but they were not reliant on the screens. Like, I felt like when I was on Icon of the Seas and they did Wizard of Oz, I felt like they were more reliant on the screens. On this, they used screens, but they also used like practical sets. And they had like one that looked like a subway. They had like Tony's house. They had the dancing club. And they had like a bridge. They had things that looked like New York City. So the practical sets that they used on stage really added dynamics to the storytelling and let the cast interact with an environment. And I loved that. So that is my thoughts about Saturday Night Fever, which was the Broadway style production on this show. So those are my thoughts, and this is my review of all of the different entertainment that I got to see while on board Royal Caribbean's Liberty of the Seas. Just my opinions, just my thoughts. Everyone has a different take on this, and what's my cup of tea might not be yours, or vice versa, but just my 2 cents. So with that, I am done for the day. I'll see you all real soon, and until then, stay inspired by everyone. Take care.